GM just recalled 600,000 trucks for catastrophic engine failure. Toyota is on its second major recall in 18 months. Same engine, same problem. Honda has 1.4 million vehicles under federal investigation. Right now, Hyundai handed people brand new replacement engines after $1 billion settlement. Those replacement engines failed the same exact way. These are not small brands. These are the 4 biggest names in the American market, and they are all falling apart at the same time. That is not a coincidence, is not bad luck, and it is absolutely not 4 separate isolated problems. There is one industry-wide crisis behind all of it. The manufacturers know what it is. They just have no intention of telling you. Today we are going to break it down because the engine in your truck right now, the one you paid $80,000 for, was never actually designed to last. If you are new here, welcome to Orbit Chronicles. We cover the stories that are too inconvenient for the mainstream to touch. Hit subscribe so you never miss one. And stay through to the end of this video, because I am going to give you 5 specific things you can do right now to protect the engine you already own. Things the dealer will never tell you. Things the manufacturer hopes you never figure out. Let me take you back to the 1990s for a second. A pickup truck back then had a 7-liter V8 under the hood. It made maybe 210 horsepower. That engine had room to breathe, thick walls and heavy parts and a whole lot of metal everywhere. It was never close to being pushed to its limit. You could skip an oil change, run it hard in August. Heat let it idle for half an hour. That engine did not care. Those are still out there today with 300,000 miles on them. Now here is what changed. Engineers figured out that if you bolt a turbocharger onto a small 7-liter engine and crank up the boost pressure, you can squeeze 400 horsepower out of something the size of a suitcase. On paper, that sounds brilliant. Marketing loves it. The government loves it. The showroom loves it. Your engine does not. Here is what nobody tells you at the dealership. That 7-liter engine making 400 horsepower is generating more internal pressure, more heat and more stress on every single moving part than that old 5.7 V8 ever experienced in its entire life, with half the metal to absorb it. We are talking about cylinder pressures over 2,000 psi inside that engine. Numbers that used to only show up inside purpose-built race engines that get completely torn apart and rebuilt after every single race. Your truck is not getting rebuilt after every race. Your truck is sitting in a parking lot for 45 minutes with the AC running. Think about it this way. You hire 2 men to move boxes all day. One is 250 pounds of pure muscle built for exactly this job. The other is a 140-pound kid who just started last week. Load them both with the exact same weight. The big man handles it easily. The kid grinds through every rep, burning out twice as fast because he was never built to carry that load. That kid is your modern engine, carrying a heavy man's load every single day for years. Everything has to go perfectly right every single time for this to work. Zero margin for error, zero forgiveness, zero room to breathe. With the old V8, a tiny piece of debris or a slightly hot summer day, the engine just handled it. With today's engine, that same tiny imperfection, a microscopic fleck of metal in the wrong place, and the whole system starts coming apart. The manufacturers knew this, the engineers knew this, but the fuel economy targets demanded smaller engines. And here we are. This one genuinely makes me angry every time I think about it. 20 years ago, most engines ran on 5W30 motor oil, thick enough to coat your bearings with a solid protective film. It worked, and it worked well. Then the fuel economy push started getting serious. Engineers discovered that thinner oil creates less internal drag and technically improves fuel efficiency on paper. So 5W30 became 5W20, then 0W20, then 0W16. Now some of the newest engines are speccing 0W8. For context, 0W8 poured on your hands would feel almost like water. That is the only thing standing between your crankshaft and total destruction. Why did they go this thin? Not because it protects your engine better, They did it because thinner oil saves approximately half a mile per gallon on the EPA fuel economy test cycle. Half a mile per gallon. That is the entire reason your truck is running oil that barely qualifies as a lubricant. Old engine bearings had a thin, soft layer of lead on the surface. That lead was forgiving. A tiny piece of debris hit the bearing, and it embedded harmlessly into the lead layer. Oil pressure dropped for a fraction of a second, and the lead absorbed it. Then environmental regulations eliminated lead from engine components entirely. Nobody went back and solved what they removed. The replacement bearings are harder aluminum alloys. They do not absorb debris. They get scored by it. They do not tolerate a pressure drop. They take damage from it. You pulled 3 safety nets out at the same time, then cranked up the power and called it progress. And here's the clearest proof that manufacturers know thin oil is not cutting it. GM's own recall fix for the 6.2-liter V8 was switching from 0W20 to 0W40, literally twice as thick. GM just told you through their own recall remedy that 0W20 was never adequate for that engine in real-world conditions. They just did not say that part out loud. To 0W40 recall remedy that 0W recall remedy that 0W